welcome to this week's episode of Vyral Podcast. Today we have Karmel with Cooler Master. He's the marketing manager for them. We are super excited to get into all things Cooler Master, get some of the brand story, the brand origin, their philosophy with new designs and products, and then even what they look for in creators. So if you're a creator out there and you're wanting to work with larger brands, stay tuned. Karmel is going to kind of give us a little insight on what they look for when creators do apply to work with them on the marketing side. So without further ado, let's get a word from our sponsors. And of course, today it is Cooler Master.
With the power of Cooler Master, the possibilities are endless. Which means you can take any gaming experience and make it yours. Cooler Master, make it yours.
All right. So, Karmel, thanks again for joining us. Super excited. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, maybe a little bit of background and what you do for Cooler Master.
Yeah, so I handle a lot of the marketing and partnerships here at Cooler Master. So that could be in a variety of different synergies, partnerships, sponsorships. You mentioned creators. So there's a lot of different ways. I try to bring some of the things we do here and connect it with different brands and people. Prior to this, I worked at Disney for about 3 or 4 years in video games. And after that, I moved to Activision, where I worked with them for about 3 or 4 years. Call of Duty Ghost, Destiny, Skylanders, a lot of AAA games over there. So I've been in the video game space for about anywhere 7 to 10 years. I also was in the entertainment field. So I was a working comedian, actor. So I worked with a lot of up-and-coming comedians now who are kind of famous, doing big things right now. So I kind of have an interesting background where I kind of blend entertainment and tech together. That's kind of what I'm doing here at Cooler Master.
Yeah. So how long have you been with Cooler Master then?
This will be a year now.
Okay. Very cool. So, wow. I mean, yeah, definitely a very vast background. Disney, and then what were you doing for Disney? I know Disney, you said video game segment. Were you working with some of the game developers or more on the marketing side of the game?
So a little bit of both. I mean, a lot of my talents have been in copywriting, scripting, whether it's public facing copy or even like in-game game design docs. I've kind of gone and blended that in a lot of different forms. When I first got there, it was tech. I was doing tech services, tech, just basic tech stuff. But when they saw my ability to write an email, they were like, oh, well, we got to move you to over here. So I moved into writing some of the game design docs, some of the in-game copies, some of the instructions when I used to have instructions back in the day.
Wow, yeah.
And so for them, I worked in a lot of their communities as well. So there was Pirates of the Caribbean Online, Toontown Online, Pixie Hollow was a game people were playing a lot back in the day. So I used to do a lot with the community, sometimes even taking some of the lore that was in the game and kind of breaking that fourth wall and creating some, in-game activations and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff at Disney was interesting because everything there was about voice. So,
right. How and I'm sure I already know the answer to this question, but how involved was actual Disney with making the games? Or did they or did they kind of outsource it?
So most of the Disney games, they purchase games and license it, or just threw Disney's name on it. Some of the games were built internally. One was called Epic Mickey. I worked on, and Imagination was another one. What was it? There's another one.
I just went to the Disney Resort in Orlando. Okay. We had a business retreat in Orlando this past spring. And part of the business retreat was Disney's customer service approach to business and leadership and excellence. So we kind of got a little bit of a sneak peek on kind of how Disney runs it. And I'm blown away just by the attention to detail in every single layer of the company, all the way through the employees and the leadership. So I can only imagine on working on games or working within it had to be very, very, precise, and everything was detailed out.
It is. And so I'll give you a little example. When I first got there, like I said, I was doing tech support. So I was tier 3, which is our highest level of tech support there. And so basically, if you ran through a bunch of different people and it wasn't working, I would either send you an email or I'd talk to you directly. I would have to do these calls in voice.
Really?
So imagine if it's a Pirate of the Caribbean game.
Right.
I would basically do tech support as a pirate. Iron matey, check your computing rig for some of the new drivers and floating, whatever. And
oh wow,
Yeah.
Do you think that added to the experience, or do you think it kind of, that level of detail might have taken away, some of the productivity, I guess, or do you think it helped with the
I,
morale and everything else?
I think for the the guests, as we call them, we didn't call them customers. For the guests, it just kept that Disney feel, because that's one thing, they don't want to break the fourth wall unless it's intended, right?
Right.
So I think it just kept that whole allure, that feeling going. And I think it just made it, for me, it just was a challenge. Like, how do I talk to them about updating drivers in Pirate Talk, right? Or
Right.
how do I
Right.
tell them, like, hey, you're using a Wi-Fi connection, it's probably you're dropping data packets somewhere. How do I do that talking as a tune from Toontown? So for me as a writer, it just gave me an opportunity to challenge myself to write something that was, one, informative, but at the same time, it kept the Disney flow, kept that voice, and kept the guests entertained and in that same Disney world.
All right. Well, yeah, I can definitely see how. I mean, that sort of background with Disney and that can really set a really good foundation for no matter what company you go to, because Disney obviously has it down, to a science, every
Yes,
single
science.
detail. So taking that expertise, I mean, you probably, pretty valuable from getting that really strong foundation. So how did you move that strong foundation into Activision?
So, I mean, the thing about Disney, it's a cool company. Moving up's difficult. And I had some friends at Activision, so I moved over there. And the games are more to my liking.
How did you make that leap? Was it kind of you knew someone that was working there and they said, "Hey, we're hiring. I think you'd be good for it," or
Pretty much, pretty much. And then I had a lot of guys follow me. And it's funny because there's a lot of people who also moved to Disney to Activision that I didn't know. That just kind of became like this pipeline. And I think a lot of it had to do also with just like the games. Call of Duty became such a big deal around that time. I mean, before that, even before Ghost, it was a big deal, but it just took off to another level around then. And so a lot
right?
of people left to go to Activision. And then another,
So kind of like in the industry, that was kind of like the sexy thing to do was Call of Duty. So
but sexier than that was Riot. So a lot of our teammates moved to Riot. So it's either Riot or Activision. And
right, right,
I wasn't a League of Legends guy, so
yeah.
I went to Activision.
And what did you do for Activision then? Kind of the same, level 3 tech support type thing.
Same thing. There was a little bit more. Wasn't so as widespread as it was Disney. It was more focused on Call of Duty. Like I said, I did do some Destiny work and I did do some work on Skylanders, but Call of Duty was pretty much my focus. And I also managed a team in the Philippines and a team in Argentina. So
So who was your customer?
what's that?
Who was your customer? Who was calling you mainly?
So the same thing. If it was like, it got to the point. For example, if someone didn't get a badge or something they accomplished and they couldn't figure out in tech support tier 1 or 2, I can actually go into the code and figure out what happened, and I can actually take
Oh, wow.
that piece of code and figure out, okay, here's what they lost, and I can just go ahead and gift it to them through an app we had created in house. So that's basically what I would deal with. And it was funny is I did take some of what I learned at Disney and applied here. For example, one guy called and I had to talk to him on the phone. He was just irate about not getting his badge. And so I talked to him like a sergeant talks to a soldier. I'm like,
Nice.
are you pissed off about you not getting the badge, or did you win the game? What's more important? You want some stupid badge, or are you going out getting your KD up? What's more? You want this damn badge? And he's like, well, and he just calmed him down a bit. So I'll get you the damn badge. Don't call here talking, and just kind of got to him like
Right.
a soldier. And he,
Yeah.
kind of laughed. Okay, I get it, man. I just worked real hard to get it, but I'll get it to you.
Yep.
Just chill out. It's just a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that time at Activision was cool because it was a totally different customer there. I mean, Call of Duty fans are just as passionate about the game as any Disneyite, but like, it was interesting because like
Yeah. I
we
bet.
want some people that like, again, whether it's badges or some kind of like skin they should have got or whatever. I'm like, oh, like I can get it to you, but why are you so angry right now?
Yeah.
You usually want to get the anger from Disney fans. It was more definitely a passion about the product.
Right. Do you think they were already de-escalated when they went to Disney because they were greeted with a character? So as automatically they took the person away from it and they were, or
I think we're more about it because the thing about Disney is like
Or just the customer base was different.
The
They
customer
weren't Call
base-
of Duty lobby players.
Yeah, exactly. The customer base is different because, like, if you're calling about Pixie Hollow, you're not going to be angry. Like, again, if you went to the park and something happened, you might be angry, right?
Right.
But the Disney player was not the same as a Call of Duty player. Those guys, and by the time they got to me, they weren't de-escalated. That's why they came to me. It just got
right. Yeah, they already went through the 3 steps of escalation.
Yeah. So they're like, no, they're super pissed off, and I'm like, okay. And I had the power just to fix it, but like, I'm like, yo, I don't want you calling again. So let me just like set this straight. Like, here's what happened. And a lot of times it wasn't even that they didn't get it. They don't understand that like sometimes the code sits, and then like we don't see it on our server side to maybe like 24 hours. It hits, and all of a sudden it shows up in their profile a day later, and they want it now. Like, I just finished this this thing. I'm like, look, it's computers. It's not
Right.
Things happen. It's not perfect. Like, give it a second.
Yep. So what's for anybody out there that's aspiring to kind of get into video games, on the production level? What's kind of like the roadmap to get into that, or what type of tips would you have?
Testing. They're always looking for testers, and I would say that was probably our biggest department. We had a huge floor of just guys who just came in and just ran could be one map all day, like for 10 hours, or ran
Wow.
a mission over and over again, or played with the same gun for 10 hours. So something broke. It's tedious. It sounds fun, and it is. For the first 3 or 4 months, most of those guys were stupid excited just to play Call of Duty for 8-10 hours. But then after a while, you're like, okay, my God, can I get a different gun? But
Yep. So it reminds me of Grandma's Boy a lot. How accurate is Grandma's Boy in the video game world?
say it again. I'm sorry.
How accurate is Grandma's Boy? Grandma's Boy, the movie? Have you seen it?
It's dead on.
Is it really?
It's dead on. I hate
Wow.
to say that, but like, yeah, it's
That's probably one of my top 5 movies of all time. I love that movie.
yeah. A lot of those guys worked in that. Man, let me tell you, the smell in that room.
Right.
The game testing room just had a whole different order to it. It was
We also have a esports arena, an esports compound in Dayton, Ohio, also. So
okay.
I think I can relate to the smell
You know
factor
what?
in the compound.
Okay. So yeah, we had that going on. But to answer your question, that was the easiest way to get in because they were always looking for testers, and the turnover was pretty high. But
Yeah.
if you could hang on and you could get through all that, typically you were really like. Your opinion was cherished because you were able to stand around, see things get broke, fix it, break them again, fix it. And then
Yeah,
you
got through the honeymoon phase. Yeah, you're able to make it through the honeymoon phase and then get to work. So
yeah, and again, there's opportunity there, so it's not like they're not. It's not like it's hiding. That's something it's hard to get into. It's not hard. It's just the path you want to take is not easy. So if you want to really get in, there's opportunity. It's not even like intern work. It's like you get paid.
Right.
But
is there a degree that's required for testing?
No. Most guys, they just want people who understand gaming, understand how to grind, and a lot of it was like how to cheat too. Like if you know how to cheat, come over. Like show us how people are cheating, help us figure it out.
Find the glitches, find the cheats.
Yeah, and sometimes even not being a tester, but like I remember playing Destiny, and there was a cave. And I remember on my own just sitting in front of this cave, and I would just be able to get like crazy loot just sitting here. I'm like, this is not how this game's supposed to work. And I'm like, oh, this is what you guys do in testing. Okay, so yeah, so stuff like that. And there's not like one game company that's not doing that. So there's ample opportunity. You just got to start down and grind.
Right. Yeah, I mean I think this whole topic can be a whole separate podcast episode on itself. I mean it's really cool, and I think a lot of the community can find value. So we might have you back and maybe talk more in depth about maybe that kind of world and tips and tricks, because we have the esports compound in Dayton, and we work with a lot of middle schools and high schools and universities, and they're always asking us, how do we get in? How do we get started? I'm going to school for game design. I'm going to school, for tech support, all these sort of things. So I do think there is a hunger for knowledge on the subject, and so it'd be cool to have you back just for that. So
no problem.
Stick tuned for another episode coming up. With Karmel, we'll get into all the nitty gritty on the developer side.
There's a lot.
But so how'd that jump go from Activision to Cooler Master, or was there anything in between?
So yeah, that's about the time I started doing comedy, and
comedy.
I kind of still am. Once you're a comedian, you're always a comedian. But I started working as a comedian about that time.
Favorite comedian, top 3.
Top 3: Bill Burr, Chappelle, Brian Regan.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. Those are my three. And like a lot of my comedy is similar. It's really heady. It's right about the written word, wordplay, stuff like that, misdirection. Uh,
Yeah.
and so yeah, again, a lot of stuff I did, for Activision and Disney kind of came from my comedic background. I've always been an actor. I've been an actor since I was like a kid. Been in theater and stage plays and all that. So that foray kind of got me into podcasting. I had a show called Personal Foul for about 3 years. It blended comedians and sports, and that whole world was so much different than the video game world. It's entertainment, but it's so different, right?
Right.
Where like in Disney, we're trying not to break the fourth wall. In comedy, you literally are right in front of a person, delivering the entertainment.
Yep.
So I did that for a while, and that kind of got me into the entertainment field, into the branding world, marketing world. Met a lot of people in that space. So I started working for a company called Type Lab, and they worked with a lot of like musicians, artists. Just right when the influencer gig got big, and
Yeah.
I kind of brought a lot of my comics into that world, who are now like, if you guys know, Tony Baker is one of the more famous comedians on Instagram. He does a lot of animal voiceovers. He's a buddy of mine. I used to know me and Tiffany Haddish were like around the same time. Right before she blew up, I was doing a lot of work with her. She was a friend of mine now.
What were some of your regular clubs were you in LA, or where were you doing comedy at?
Ice House in Pasadena, the Comedy Factory, Laugh Factory, Comedy Store, Pachanga down in Temecula was one of my favorite spots. It was originally a Laugh Factory, and it became just the Pachanga Comedy Club.
Nice.
Really fun spot. Ontario Improv is a fun spot. So I've been all over. One of my best shows was in Kentucky.
Really?
I was on a festival in Louisville. Never been there before. Beautiful, beautiful city.
Yep. Is it the 4th Street Live area, or was it a club?
It was a club.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of it. But that was a fun spot. And Idaho, strangely enough, has a really like burgeoning comedy circle. I think I did two festivals there. Headlined one year, and that was fun because there's not much going on when it's not football season. So everyone came out because football, I think it was like end of January. It was just snow everywhere. So it was just like, we got nothing else to do. Let's go watch some comedy. So that was a
Right.
fun gig.
Yeah. Have you been to a Comedy Mothership yet?
No, where's
In
that?
Austin. In Austin, Joe Rogan spot.
Oh yeah, so that's funny. A lot of, I guess they're my contemporaries, have moved to Texas,
Right.
kind of like posted up down there in Austin because of what Joe Rogan's doing. And I think it's dope because for the most part, everyone moves to LA or New York to be a comedian. And I think what Joe's doing, and not just the podcast world, but in comedy in general, is showing right now you can make it anywhere. Like you can take comedy.
Right.
Everyone wants to laugh. So Austin's
Yep.
a great place, whether it's South by Southwest and just even Texas football. There's a lot of people down there. So it's a cool town. So it makes a lot of sense. So I haven't been out there yet. But,
Yeah, it's a cool spot. I went to the club once. It was a super, super cool spot. And then Tony Hinchcliffe being down there too. I mean, it's
Tony here.
breeding ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So you did the comedy thing, and then so you jumped. You're like, I want more of a corporate gig. And then you started reaching out, or how'd you and Cooler Master link up?
So I worked.
What were you doing? Were you still in tech and video games in this comedy? Were you playing video games to kind of kill time, or you just kind of?
Yeah, I left Activision after about 3 years, and then I went full into branding and marketing. And like I said, I worked for a company called Type Lab. We worked with a few companies called Volume, some jewelers, like kind of low mid-level companies that were kind of trying to come up. We created one of the first influencer companies called Social Artists International. So basically, it was supposed to be like a CAA or William Morris for influencers. Wasn't anything around at the time like that. So I think we're kind of too ahead of our time, and it kind of didn't work out. But that's kind of the influencer and marketing side that I got that experience. So that got me here to Cooler Master. So I presented an idea to them when they were looking for someone in marketing that kind of blended all those things together. Because right now, Cooler Master's initiative is to move more toward a lifestyle tech brand versus just being DIY component computer builder guy. They want to go to a full immersive experiences and things that are like full turnkey experiences. So that's kind of how that came about. Where you kind of have to have someone with a unique background like myself that's kind of done all those things and understand tech at the same time.
Right, right. So you were pitching to Cooler Master, and you're like, wait, it's kind of a cool company. I wouldn't mind being a part of what they're doing.
Yep.
Nice. What attracted you to the Cooler Master?
Honestly, I just applied. I saw the position open. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I wasn't totally sure what Cooler Master was. I heard the name before, but
Yep.
I'm not a big. I never built my own computer. My son had prior to that, and he said, "Yeah, I've used one of their coolers." I was like, "That's where I've heard this name before." So that got me interested in learning more about them, and then just learning how much of a legacy they have in the thermal space, and then just even like thermal space entirely. The tech that Cooler Masters built in OEM and in computers is legendary.
Legendary. Yeah, it's withstood the test of time,
Yeah,
for sure. 20 plus years now,
yeah,
and then still growing and not slowing down at all.
not at all, not at all. And now that we're moving more into this, like I said, immersive space, I think what they do and why they became big in the thermal and the component space is only going to allow them to be big in this new venture.
What do you think you're going to bring to the table to kind of help portray that or market this new rebrand or new direction, refresh direction?
I think my ability to recognize trends, a different customer base, target audiences. For me personally, like, and I've said this to a lot of people, everyone's going after gamers, like whether it's Corsair, whether it's Razer, everyone in our space is going after the gamer. For me, there's a whole group of people out there who do something else and also game. So that's
Right.
my idea. It's like I've been around comedians, musicians, athletes my whole life. All these people play games, but they're not really targeted like they target gamers or avid tech users.
Right.
In most spaces, they use tech and they're not really brand loyal like you are in gamers. Like most gamers, man, they're a Corsair guy or they're NXT guy or like this is what I use. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm gonna use all Razer products. Okay, trying to convince or shift that person's loyalty is going to be difficult. Yet
Yep.
a whole group of people here who would just use whatever's introduced to them. So, like if it's in the music space, if it's in the actor space, chefs, anyone that's using tech of some sort or playing games
Mm-hmm.
can be essentially won over if the product is good and you reach them. I think you have an opportunity there that not many people are reaching out to.
Right. And are you going to do that via traditional like social marketing, or are you going to do more of an influencer type strategy?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like for example, we worked with one of my close friends, Craig Smith. He's a podcaster, comedian. He has a funny show called Craig Facts, where he basically talks about the facts of the day or just even like historical facts. It's from a different perspective. It's kind of a more urban feel to it, and it's super hilarious. But in that same space, they talk about games and they talk about tech. So we had a 8-hour stream on his show where we went through a bunch of Cooler Master products, broke a lot of things down, and the response was amazing. Like you really saw there's a lot of people out there wanting to hear more about this from a different perspective. And there's so many tech review shows and so many from Unbox Therapy to Linus Tech Tips and Gamers.
Right.
There's not really anything like that in the urban space. So.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first idea. Okay, well, let's tap into that demographic. So that's the influencer side we're looking at. Also in hip hop and music, there's a lot of people in that space that are also tech savvy, whether it's even just like music production, or also gaming. There's an opportunity there. So that's one way. But also just think like there's so many other opportunities. Even we have a Dynex, which is our racing simulator.
Yeah. I want to get into the racing simulator segment with you here in a bit too.
Yeah. So then there's a whole nother avenue there where, just going out to events and, bringing a Dynex to a rally race or a Grand Prix. We're thinking about doing F1 that just passed about a few weeks ago. Price point was kind of high. So we might think about that for next year. But just opportunities like that, activations where people can actually get in and experience our products. I think that's also one of the big ways we're going to reach those audiences.
Right. Yeah. So when working with creators, how do you kind of vet the creators? How do you look for creators? When you get the inbound leads, how do you determine we want to work with them or we don't want to work with them? What's some kind of key things for the creators out there listening to when they do pitch to a company like Cooler Master? what can their pitch deck kind of have in it to maybe give them a little edge above?
Be unique, I think, is the first thing. There's so many people creating the same content, and it works. I get it. I'm not gonna be begrudging about someone putting a dog in a fitness video, because you always see that, right? It works. Okay, whatever. It's cute. Dogs are cute. But do something different that makes you unique. For example, we're working with a guy named Dino. We just did I'm sorry, I got a train going by me.
Oh, I thought we was getting some echo or feedback or something.
Yeah, there's literally a train right here. Dino just did a video for us for our Sneaker X, which is our full PC built like a sneaker piece. And Dino's content is very unique in that, it's very about his life, about who he is. You don't really get a lot of the stuff you see in other content creators that Dino does, because it's really him. And there was great feedback. And then I think we're up like 3 or 4 million views on that. And the way he did it was different, right? And we kind of just gave him hey, here's a piece, not many really talking points. Let's just come up with something and see what you got. And he killed it. So I think the first thing is to be unique, be yourself. I would also say, look, if you have a bunch of pieces of content with a bunch of other brands on there, it kind of just gives away that you're just doing this for the money. Dino, I think Dino's being Dino. And that's another thing. I don't think it would matter to him if every single company wanted to do something. If it doesn't match, it doesn't work with him, he wouldn't do it. And the Sneaker X was a perfect fit because he liked the piece. He's seen it before.
Right.
So I think being unique, being yourself, and I know this is really cliche, but honestly, it works. For at least for us, because not to piss on our competition, but some of them it's like baseball. They're just going to keep swinging. They'll just keep throwing stuff out there. If 30% of it works, you're great in baseball, right? So they kind of approach it the same way. I'm a football guy, so I'm looking at pass completions, right? I want 70% pass completion. I want to hit on most of the stuff we do. So I think getting content creator, you don't need to have a billion followers either. It's really you have unique content already. Are you a unique content creator? And what's your vision for moving forward? I don't want to be one-offs either. We're doing several different things with Dino. So any content creator that's looking for a brand to work with down the road, maybe do some episodic content or something that leads to something else, pitch it that way. Because then I know I can bake in the ROI easier. I can see it then versus I'm hoping we get some clicks from this one piece of content. That's really promising.
Yeah, that's kind of the same philosophy that we have, kind of not working with somebody on a transactional type of, we'll give you $1,000, you make this video, here's a script, have a nice day.
Yeah.
Much more of that building the relationship, building that long-term partnership, because it's just more fun that way for everyone involved. It's more fun for us as a company. It's more fun for the creator. And, it gives the creator more creative control because you trust each other a little bit more. So they're having more fun making the content. So then therefore the content is better. But how do you, with you working outside of the gaming industry or the content creator influencer side on the gaming side, how do you kind of dictate that ROI if, let's say, a sneakerhead is doing it on a sneaker page? How do you estimate how many followers are actual gamers? How many is this going to land versus how many is this going to go right over their head? That is a good strategy. I do love the strategy because the gaming marketing space is so saturated, and the influencer space, there's just everybody, because it kind of goes hand in hand. If you're playing gaming and streaming, you have all the same equipment, you already have the personality, you already have, so it's like an easy kind of jump into it,
right?
To do. So it just became so saturated to do. I mean, from a brand perspective, it's so expensive to do also, because there are so many brands competing for the same influencers. So it drives the price up. But we also, it's expensive because it works, and we know that their audience are 100% like-minded. Whereas if you're targeting a shoehead, you don't know what percentage are gamers, what percentage isn't.
Right.
But it's a little bit, you are reaching a different audience per se.
Yeah. So to that point, the way I look at it, I mean, it's not always about conversion. Are we getting sales from this one piece of content? It's more about traffic. Did this person drive traffic to one of our sites? What's the sentiment?
Brand awareness.
Brand awareness.
Next time they go into Micro Center and they see Cooler Master, or the first time they ever go into Micro Center, like, oh, I heard that before.
Right. Yeah. Those are the things I look at. Of course, the higher ups want to see the dollar signs, but with marketing, a lot of it's just spending and kind of hoping for the best, honestly. But if we see good sentiment in the comments, if we see traffic coming to the site, the conversion really just comes down to the product now. Are we pitching the right product? Is the user experience on the site right? Because sometimes it could be that they get to the page and can't get to where they want to buy the thing. That's a whole nother separate entity. But so just the traffic and the sentiment, that's the main KPIs I'm looking at.
Nice. And so speaking of products, Cooler Master is coming out with a lot of non-Cooler Master type products with the kind of rebrand of the company.
Yeah.
A couple of them being the sim racing chair.
Mm-hmm.
Why sim racing?
Good question. I think again because it's also an area here, and here's one reason why I know for sure is the turnkey solution has not really been figured out. I've talked to a lot of companies that we're now partnering with that have been looking for a turnkey solution in terms of sim racing. So that's one thing. Second, I think a lot of the sims I've been in are very like kind of barbaric, just like not the best, experience, rough, not like you don't get the sense that you're really in a GT, like a Porsche Carrera, or you're really in an F1 car. It's kind of like, oh, it's a sim, it feels okay. So
kind of arcade like.
Right. So I think the idea was there's an opportunity, and I think a lot of people at Cooler Master are also just racing fans, and we're actually going to be at the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach in a few months. So that's
nice.
That's another way we're trying to get our name out there, and I think connecting people out there with our name, like you said, oh, that's who that is, and now you see it here. I think that's the way we'll get new fans and new customers.
And it's a super fast growing market.
Mm-hmm.
We build a lot of sim racing specific PCs. We get calls all the time. I want to play iRacing. I want to play Assetto Corsa. I want to drift. So we see the influx in the market a lot, and we have some racing simulators at our compound in Dayton, and people's always coming in. I mean, there's people that drive an hour just to come play on the racing simulators because of kind of the growing passion behind it, really, because racing fans are very passionate segment of fans. There's fans that won't miss a single day, and especially once you start playing like the iRacing segment, a lot of them have the steering wheel and foot pedals. They're doing 4, 6, 12, sometimes 24-hour races at home from their desk. Like very dedicated segment of customers for sure.
Yeah, and you see, like even with the movie Gran Turismo when it came out, right? I saw a sneak preview, and I was like, let's see how this is going to go. And I was like, hey, this is pretty good. Like, I was kind of shocked how well the movie was, and then the response was great. I was like, okay, so it was just tracking that what's going on is what I'm seeing. Like, there is definitely like a surge in this market, and then again, for us, it was like, here's an opportunity. Can we meet the demand? Can we put something out there that's different? The fact that our sim can replicate 14 different driving styles is huge. With this rally, trophy truck, F1 Indy, all those different styles of racing in one rig, it was huge. And from the feedback I've gotten, our rig has been one of the best rigs people have gotten and sat in. And so I think, again, it's just another opportunity for us to hit a segment that's burgeoning, that's not really being tapped into. And I'm sure some other companies will come behind us and try to catch up, but we're trying to be ahead of the game and stay ahead.
What other products is Cooler Master developing, or that's already developed that are just about to come out that you can talk about?
Yeah. So like one is Motion One and Sync X. Those are both like haptic feedback chairs that are immersive experiences. Sync X is basically like it's almost like a full soundboard in your back, and basically any game or music or movie you're playing, all the sounds, highs, mids, and lows will kind of reflect in your back and the seat, so you kind of get a 4D experience. Motion One is another level above that, basically similar to your 4D experiences at a movie. So the chair actually has actuators and moves and tilts. So if you're playing, any like flight simulator or even driving simulator game just in the chair, it's going to move around exactly based on the game. For example, if you're driving in Forza or anything, and you hit some sand or dirt, the chair will literally feel like every pebble is sand because the game is actually coded into the chair.
Oh,
So it's that accurate. So those are two pieces coming out. Sneaker X I mentioned, Shark X, which is a full PC case that looks like a shark. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
yep. I think we're actually going to be doing a Sneaker X build too.
Okay,
I believe.
dope,
Yep.
dope,
Super
dope.
soon.
On the music side, I think I can speak to this. I think we've talked about this. There's a chair coming out called the Rhythm X, which is also has haptic features, but it's based on like music. So there has a built-in metronome. You can put actually chords into the chair that gives you feedback from the other band members.
Wow.
Instruments. So if say you want to focus on the bass guitar or the lead guitar or even the vocals, the chair is going to give you feedback. And if you're a drummer and you don't like using the inner earpiece, you can take it off now because now you're getting the feedback through the chair. So that's another piece we're coming out with.
Is it more of like an office chair style design looking, or what's the appearance?
Like a drummer stool.
Okay, drummer stool. Wow. And when so out of those 3 chairs, are any of them out and available to buy now, or what's the roadmap for
Motion
those?
One and Sync X are out now. I think Rhythm X should be out Q2, maybe Q1. I know it's CES, which is coming up in January. We'll probably debut it there. I know for sure we are. So it might be available in Q1.
Cool. Are you going to be at CES?
100%.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll see you there. We'll grab a beer.
Oh, for sure. Another piece that I think that I'm super excited about is the Master Control, which is, I'm sure you're familiar with Stream Deck. You might be using one right now. But Master Control is basically a Steam Deck on steroids. It's a modular piece. So let's say like you do music production. You can have faders, dials, you can move pieces around and put whatever kind of like box together you want. You can also have buttons.
Hardware? You're moving around hardware or software?
Hardware.
Oh, wow.
So to me, it's like a 8x6, platform, and you can put different dials. It's a 3-dial, 2-dial, 6 buttons. Basically, customize the piece to be what you exactly need for your setup. Or if you would do photo design, video editing, you want to put some scrubbers and things like that. You can shift those around or add different modules on it to fit your whatever way you're going to use it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? So even like for photo editing and video editing, is it like more okay? So like a fully modular hardware controller that can kind of
100%.
Okay.
So that I know is going to be available Q1, and that's going to come out with 3 kits. There's a music kit, a video editing kit, and a streaming kit.
Nice. I feel like those hardware pieces are always really cool, but then the software side, I'm always let down by the software side of things.
100%.
What are you guys doing on the
100%.
software side?
So the software, like it's going to come with its own software called Master Control. So you would be able to work with that. But also all the APIs right now are working very well. So I think it's going to come right out the gate, able to work with every Adobe thing, any kind of Ableton, Fruity Loops, anything you're working on, it'll work with automatically. I think each iteration of it is going to get better and better. But from what I've been told out the gate, it should work perfect. Because again, that's always been the thing. It's like you work with something that has a hardware software component. It's the software that lets you down. So we've actually worked with some third party.
Sorry.
What's that?
I said IQ.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've heard that. So we've done some. What do you call it? Focus groups, and we got that a lot. So it's the feedback was taken, and it's been put into play.
How do you find members for focus groups? Is it kind of similar to game testers, just apply, or is it more of an outbound? You
It's
find
more
professionals
outbound,
and
or it's a little bit of both. So one way is like people we've ran into like at a CES or at a PAX West or something like that. Get emails, hey,
listen up, folks. That's why it's important to be going to these events. I've been preaching since I've started Vyral. Go to the events, even if you're not a big time creator. Learn the industry, shake hands, meet people. Just introduce yourself, because I mean that's really where all the deals are made. I mean, I'm sure you guys get thousands of DMs, thousands of emails a month on people wanting to work with you, but if a simple handshake can get the deal done.
And I'm going to speak directly to that, Chris. We literally had a guy met at CES 2-3 years ago, came to a focus group last year. He now works with us today, and literally that was the pattern. Just shook a hand, say, hey, love what you guys do. He was in college, yada, 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 intern with us for a month, and now he's on board. So to speak to what you're saying, guys, literally any event you can get out to that a brand you like or any industry you want to be involved with, just go. Pay the 50, $100, whatever it is. Shaking hands, face-to-face networking is it's unmatched on how much you can get done doing that.
Unmatched. Don't sleep on that. That's alpha. That's alpha content right there.
100%.
But so you did the same thing with the new hardware coming out.
Yes.
That's how you found.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was actually.
And do you have any spots open for focus group, or are you more on the back end of the focus part, and you're about to roll out full production?
Oh no. We have so many other products coming out that we're going to do focus groups on. So we'll definitely get an email out to you if you want to got people that want. You might do some online as well because it doesn't have to be in person. So we'll definitely get some. We want feedback from everybody. I think one thing about Cooler Master that I've learned is they definitely listen to what people want and don't want. I've seen some products, even the short time I've been here, get axed immediately because it really didn't hit any target audience that we wanted. And we have engineers who are super smart people, make some really good products, but if you don't have a place to sell it, it didn't really doesn't do much. So yeah, but like I said, we have a lot of products coming out, and we're definitely going to get feedback before we launch them because another thing about us, we make everything. We are a manufacturer. We don't just white label or slap our.
Very uncommon.
Yeah.
Those of you out there, I mean, that's a super uncommon kind of feature. A lot of, say, 9 out of 10 or more are white label their products as opposed to manufacturing the whole process. So the fact that Cooler Master kind of sees it from start to finish, complete in-house, everything, production, marketing, focus groups. I mean, that's a really, really key differentiator.
Yeah.
And probably why you guys have stood the test of time.
Yeah, no, and our owner built it that way. He built it himself in his college dorm room. And it's kind of had that same feeling now. I mean, we have a lot. We have several offices over the world, but even working here, it feels like a startup because we work that way. We work like how can we get better? We're not like sitting in our fat butts. Oh, we made this much money. We profits. No, each thing comes out. It's like, okay, what do we need to do? Who are we going after? We approach it like it's day one, and I think that's why. Also, it's not boring. It's never boring around here. Always exciting.
Not BS either. I mean, the general manager of North America came into our shop just a few months ago. So I mean, basically the CEO of North America. So the fact that he's out and about and just he's not in an office and kicking up on his yacht and life is good. He's out and about on the streets, getting our opinions on products. Shaking hands, getting what they could be doing better, asking questions.
100%.
We were really, really blown away by that. For sure.
So we'll get more feedback. He's on my case all the time. Like, what are we doing? What's next? What's going on? I'm like, okay, I like this. This is fun.
Yeah. So everyone keep your eye out. And if you do want to become a Vyral sponsor or ambassador, please do that. Anytime we have connections like Cooler Master and they're asking us for focus groups or testers or product reviewers or influencers to work with, we go to our sponsor streamer pool first and our ambassador pool first. So if you're an ambassador or if you're an influencer, no matter the following, join our ambassador program. We hold monthly Discord calls, quarterly Discord calls with experts in the field like Karmel here, and non-recorded. So this is a safe space. You can come, ask questions, ask Karmel one-on-one, anything you want. So join the ambassador program. Shameless plug, but we have fun like this every single month and every single quarter, and try and provide value and opportunities for you. And it's free to do. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's just we make all these connections, this is the main reason why we started the podcast. We make all these really cool connections. We're connected in with some really, really cool, talented influencers, some really large, talented influencers, some really small. Everyone with so much value, and we're like, we gotta share this out because we're not going to do anything with 1% of the knowledge and stuff that we're given. So that's where the podcast came from, and then we thought we can hold quarterly Discord calls and get everyone together, and it becomes kind of a network and friend group on top of a learning and professional development, because a lot of creators don't take the time because there's not many resources too, but they don't take the time to invest in personal development and the networking side of things. They're worried about making the content, gaming, uploading. Everyone kind of gets caught in the hustle, so they don't really take a step back and be like, what should I be learning this month? What should I be developing myself this month? How do I grow on TikTok if I want to grow on TikTok, and really talk with a TikTok expert and network with TikTok experts, and have a little focus group with themselves. So that's the main reason why we started it, and we have gotten great feedback so far, and we're looking forward to maybe having you in the next one.
Oh, for sure. And I will say to that point, a lot of people talk about like learning your voice in comedy, right? And it takes these 10,000 hours and all that. A lot of that is not performing. A lot of that is chopping it up in the green room with a veteran comic who's been doing it 20 years, talking to a manager, a venue, a GM, um, hanging out with the crowd afterwards. So many other ways of getting that information and cutting down that time. I think some people see content, they want to just put content out there, but like if you're putting out trash content, you're making it longer than it has to be. Like get hyper focused, and a lot of that comes from personal development, learning more about who you are, what you like, what you want to talk on, having a slant, having a come from a perspective, not just saying what everyone else is saying. I always tell people this, like Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh back in the day. People hated these guys, right? Well, how do you hate them? You only hate them because you're listening.
Right.
So if you have a slant, good or bad, and don't be in the middle though. Don't be like everybody else. Have something, say your point, but you got to be hyper focused on it. And the only way you get that is through personal development.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was going to ask you kind of your words of wisdom to any influencers out there next, but you nailed it. So we'll see you at CES. Any next events that Cooler Master is going to be at coming up?
So CES in January, and like I said, Long Beach Grand Prix in April. We're working on a couple other events in between there, but those are the two big like beacon programs we got coming up next year. We want to do some like our own Cooler Master events. We have some things we're working on with a company called Solar Impact in LA. They do they have a huge tech center called the Beehive. We might be doing some activations there. I kind of want to get also away from going everywhere. Like TwitchCon was a big deal. We ended up not going this year. Kind of missed out in a way, but I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, the computer space and the manufacturing space was pretty underrepresented. I was kind of wondering why. I didn't know if it was like the cost or the ROI, or the marketing budget's shrinking due to the economy.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
So we got to come up with some new ways to get in front of people, and I think we're gonna have some cool opportunities this year, and even just going to different places. Like, Dayton may not be Chicago or New York, but like there's people out there who game. There's people out there who are passionate about it, and like having Alan and Ray and them go out there, I was like, oh, we're going to Ohio. Okay, so when I got the information, I was like, okay, I like that because again, you mentioned Joe Rogan going to Austin. How many people talk about going to Austin? Other than South by Southwest, what else is there? But he saw an opportunity, and everyone's following him. So, yeah. So again, Grand Prix, CES, but be on the lookout for some other big events coming up.
Cool, very cool. And final question: favorite? Are you playing video games currently, or are you just more in a day with work?
I play a little bit. I'm a PUBG guy, to be honest with you.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's easy to get in, get out for me. Like,
Yep.
I play on my iPad. I know I can play on the phone or whatever, but like that's kind of been my like easy, just pick it up and get in, get out. I still play Rocket League. I haven't got.
Is Rocket League going to come out with an update or what? Are they going to do a Rocket League 2? I mean, or what are they waiting on?
I don't know. they can keep
I feel like that
so far. I was like, why do something new? People keep playing this one. I thought new car.
I mean, easy money grab available. They just update a few graphics, done a few more matches. I mean, $1 billion.
Easy, right?
And I guess it shows their character, and they could be doing a lot of different money grab stuff because it's over 10 years old at this point.
Yeah,
they could have refreshed it twice and gotten some really good money. But
so it's funny you say that. I used to play Madden on PC back in the day. And I was a huge Madden guy. I didn't like playing on console. I only liked playing on PC. And when they stopped on the PC version, they modded it for about 6-7 years. And I was like, man, there's people paying another $70 every year for what we're doing for free. Nah, I'm good here. So Yeah, to your point, Rocket League could be easily making more money on that game, but they're just doing enough to keep it going. But yeah, so Rocket
It's-
League, PUBG, and I kind of got into what was the other day I started playing here at work? Cyberpunk.
yeah, a couple good DLCs with that now.
Yeah.
The new Call of Duty coming from Activision.
I have not, and I fortunately one thing I took away from Activision was I have a God account, so I get every game that comes out. It drops right into my library. So I haven't uploaded it yet, but also the rig I have here is not the best, so I kind of want to upgrade it before I start playing something new. I'm gonna get into it pretty soon.
Appreciate all your insights, all your wisdom, learning about the Cooler Master a little bit more, your background. Looking forward to our beer at CES, and
Sure.
we'll let the community kind of talk to you also. We'll get on the schedule for one of our ambassador calls. Probably Q1 or Q2. It'll be a few months out, but kind of so we can answer some one-on-one questions about maybe your background or advice for any creators or influencers out there.
All right, man. Looking forward to it.
So awesome, appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, bye.
That'd be good.